Hello, Glitter Witches, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I wanted to talk about why your spells aren't working. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today's video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Help us keep building the Glitter Coven. And don't forget to check out Wine and Witchcraft this Sunday at 9 p.m. It'll be linked down below. And also don't forget to check out Sabbath Social. A lot of new content by a lot of great people will be coming in the upcoming year, so don't forget to check that out. So your spells are not working. That's a very simple question to answer. It's because you're not a real witch. You're a fake ass bitch. So thank you so much for tuning into today's video. Just kidding. I haven't asked that question before. I have asked that question starting out, and even sometimes now when something isn't really working the way that I want it to, I think, why isn't it working? So I, over the years, have read articles and listened to videos and got other people's opinions. So I thought I would share my own experience, the things that I think kind of contribute to why your magic may not be working, why your spells may not be working. So let's go ahead and get into it. I have a little bit of a list, and we all know how I am, I ramble. So let's just go ahead and get started and talk about why, possibly why, your spells aren't working. So the first reason why, in my opinion, your spells may not be working is the energy where you're practicing, the energy is stagnant. There could also be a lot of built up energy, especially those who have witchy rooms or designated space where we continually practice magic. A lot of energy can be built up there. Things can not only become stagnant, but crowded. And that can really have not a great effect when you're trying to continually do magic. If you're trying to do a money spell or a love spell or protection or whatever it is you're trying to do, if you haven't cleansed and the energy isn't continually being renewed in that space, that can be the first indication of why your spell work may not be working. And there are videos out on YouTube that kind of explain the signs and symptoms to energy being stagnant, or there being even entities or things in your space that are preventing your magic from happening. There's a really good video by Yolemi from Yo-Yo Botanica. She has a really good video about knowing when it's time to cleanse your space. You know, that can contribute to cluttering. If a room is always feeling dark, even when the lights are on, even when the windows are open, hearing noises, things like that are indicators that your space is needing to be cleansed. And that can contribute to why your magic and your spells may not be working the way that they used to. Along with that, cleansing yourself, taking spiritual baths, cleansings, things of that nature of your own personal self, is also a good thing to do. Now, there's a lot of conversations about cleansing and paranoia over spiritual attacks, and I'm not feeding into that conversation, but it is good to always cleanse yourself. I mean, we bathe, we wash ourselves in a mundane manner that can also be magical, okay? And just going out into the world and interacting with people on a day-to-day basis, you pick up spiritual shit. Just like our bodies pick up debris and dirt from going out and working all day. So it's good to not only wash your body, but spiritually cleanse yourself. And that can, again, be an indicant of why your spell work isn't working the way you want it to. Another reason why your spells may not be working, and I think is the most common reason why they don't work, is intention, intention, intention. And what I mean by intention is really not being vague about what you're doing. A lot of times we see this with money spells, whether it's bay leaves or whatever you're trying to do, even with working with people like Saint Expedite over here. Being vague in witchcraft is not a good thing. You know, asking for money, I need financial help, the universe could provide you $1. You know, if you're wanting money or you're wanting a specific thing, you need to be specific. And that's really, really important with any type of magic that you're practicing, any sort of spell that you're doing. Being vague does not help you. And another thing that goes along with that is being realistic in what you're asking for. Okay, if I need financial help and I need $100 for this, whatever it is, a bill, right? The light bill. I need $100 for the light bill. Then you need $100 for the light bill. That's what you're asking for. That's the spell work. You need to be specific in what you're asking for. And many other people on YouTube have talked about this. Asking for $1 million is, let's be real here, okay? Let's be realistic in what we can do magically, but also in the timeline in which we're expecting that to happen. If you're wanting, $10,000, okay, you can do that. Do the spell work to do that, but that's not going to be 1 candle or 2 candles or even 20 candles. That's intense work. So when you're doing a money spell or whatever kind of spell work it is, be specific and be realistic about what you're working and have realistic goals of what you're doing and what can really come from that working. So that's, I think, the most common reason why spell work doesn't work is you're being too vague or you're being unrealistic about what can be accomplished in the duration you're trying to get said thing done. So always remember that, regardless of whatever type of spell work it is. Specific and be realistic. Next on the list is time. Time and feedings is what I'm calling it. There's a lot of people, and I have gotten this way before, and I was this way a lot early in my practice, is, getting the ingredients together, getting together everything I needed for whatever the spell was, throwing it all together, saying what I want, and moving on. Again, feeds into being realistic. That's not realistic. When you're doing a working, I am of the belief that you need to build that spell. You need to take your time in selecting the ingredients, to building the intention, to building the specifications of what you're wanting and what you're needing, and how long you want to work that to get what you need. So if I'm working with Saint Expedite, or if I'm just doing a protection spell, whatever it is, I take the time, I think specifically what I'm looking for protection from, or how much money I'm wanting, or, whatever it is. And then I'm feeding that spell every day. Now, everybody has different opinions. This is just mine. But I feel like any type of spell work needs fed unless you're going to sit there to completion, right? If you're going to do a little money spell with a chime candle, sit there, feed it. Feed that spell. Candle blows out, do what you do, and it's done, and that's fine. But if you're going to use, a 7-day candle, you should be feeding that candle every day with your intention, with your thoughts, with your prayers, whatever it is, incense, water, however you want to do it within your own practice. But it needs to continue to be fed, right? You don't just go get a cat and feed it 1 bowl of food and then just leave it and expect it to live on without being taken care of. Spell work needs to be taken care of. It's an energy exchange. And if you're not going to put energy into it, you're not going to get energy out of it. Again, time is of the essence, and being realistic is of the essence. So if you're going to do a 7-day spell or a 15-day spell or whatever it is, you want to make sure you have the time and the dedication to do what needs to be done so that whatever that working is can be manifested in the way that you want it to be manifested. The next thing, which again piggybacks off the last point I made, is duration in which you're wanting this thing to be accomplished. Kind of talked about it before with money. If you're asking for $10,000, it's very unrealistic to be asking for $10,000 in 5 days. Okay, let's be realistic here. So when you're doing a money spell or a love spell or something particularly like that, where it's almost for a material thing to come into your life or a person to come into your life, or if you're doing a spell about trying to get somebody to call you or to talk to you, something of that nature, think about what would be a realistic duration for that to happen. You know, if you're wanting a friend that you had a falling out with to call you back, are you going to expect that to happen with a chime candle or with a 2-day spell, things like that? It falls into being realistic, but also being realistic about the duration in which the expectation you have for this to happen. So I would say, personally for me, relating it to money, if you're going to be asking for $500, I would say you're probably going to want to work that for like 7 to 10 days, right? You really want to work that, give that time for it to happen. That's very important. You know, don't go do a love spell and be like, I want to meet the man of my dreams by, you know, Sunday. And you're throwing that into the universe as if that's realistic within 2 days. Okay, so think about that as well. That could be another reason why your spell isn't working. There really isn't enough time for it to work in the way that it needs to work. I think the last thing that could contribute to your spells not working is your efforts that you're putting into the universe, right? So if you're doing a love spell, at some point during that working, if you're working a 7-day candle and you're in it and you're feeding it, you took the time, your intention is there, you're specific about what you're wanting to happen, are you making strides in our plane, in our world, in our universe to help obtain that goal? Are you, you know, on Facebook dating? Are you on Tinder or Grindr, whatever it is you're on? You know, you want to feed that not only with intention, but you want to feed that with action. You know, if you're wanting money, make strides to get more hours, make strides to play the lottery, whatever. You know, you want to help feed that with your action. Everybody's different. Every spell is different. There are times I have done spells and not put much effort and got results. But there are a lot of times where I haven't as well. So anytime you're doing a spell, in a way, it's a commitment. You're asking the universe for something. So show your commitment and your desire to obtain that and put in your best foot forward, you know, within your own abilities in this life to help make that happen. So I think it's always good, if you're having some sort of working or spell that isn't working or doesn't work at all, to evaluate your process. What you used, what you asked for, did you feed it? Did you take action? Were you realistic? Was the time frame, the duration, were all these things within a reasonable range? And if so, then it's time to go back to the drawing board. At the end of the day, we are magical practitioners. We manifest, we make magic move. That's what we do, right? But we also have to understand that not everything we want, not everything we push for is going to happen. And that may not be for you now, for whatever reason. And we may not actually get an answer to that. So take a couple days, I suggest 7 to 10, and start over. Do something different. Come at it from a different approach. You know, I've always said magic is like water. It takes the easiest route. And, you know, your water, your spell, your magic may just be draining into a ditch for whatever reason. So don't get discouraged. Don't give up. Go back to the drawing board and start over. So that is today's video. I would love to hear you guys sound off in the comments about what you think. What do you do if a spell doesn't work? What are your thoughts on why sometimes spells don't work? I would love to hear your opinions. I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and until next time, bye guys.